And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and I'm excited today to talk to you about Pulsar 2849. Now this is from CGE Games, and this one is from Vladimír Suchý, who is really well known probably for Last Will. He's done some other games, but this is one of those games that I really didn't think much about. I saw it, I was like, oh, that's a pretty neat board. Wow, the components look really cool. It's a neat thing. And then I heard my co-hosts, both I think Suzanne and Mandy and Eric, all spoke very highly of this game. And I thought, oh, okay, I'll give it a whirl. Try it out. I had dice in it, dice drafting. That's something I enjoy. A space theme, I could be good or not. Let's take a look and see if I like it as much as everyone said I should. Okay, so here is a little bit of what's going on. Now this board is huge and there's all these pieces, although the outside pieces don't matter much. Like there's a technology tree that is made up of 3 parts. This technology tree actually has 2 different sides to each board, and there's A, B, C, Ds. You can play with all A's, all B's, and you can mix and match them. This board is really critical, but it doesn't matter. Again, these outside boards doesn't matter where they go. What matters more is these tiles here. These are solar systems that you're going to be able to land on. And then there's all these pulsars that you're trying to basically hone them and make gyrodynes and collect their energy. So the way the game works, now the game is only 8 rounds long. You use this token here to move it in each round. A new level of technology becomes available. And at the beginning of a round, you're going to take dice equal to the number of players times 2 plus 1. So with 4 players, I would roll these dice here like this. You're then going to place these dice up here on the matching number. So I rolled 3 6s, 3 1s, a 3, and 2 5s, like that. So let's take a closer look at that section of the board. So what does this mean here? Well, this is going to show us the dice that we're going to draft, but before we do that, we have to figure out the median die, the middle die. So there's 9 dice, so it's die 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the 5. I cover that up, and then I see, are there more dice on this side or on this side? There's more on this side, so I'm going to put this dividing line here. If it had been the same, I would have put it here. If there had been more dice on this side, I would have put it over here. So I'm putting it right here. Now, in turn order, from 1 to 5, from 1 to 4 players, each of us is going to draft a die. If you take a die on the left side, you pick your disc and you move one of these 2 discs to the left. If you take a die on the right side, you'll take one of your discs and move it to the right. If there's already a disc there, you just put it on top of that disc. These 2 tracks are important because this one determines turn order. So you'll have spaceships here to show what the turn order is in each game. And this one, at the end of each round, you're going to get supply cubes based on who's farthest on this track. So one person's not going to get any. So right now, yellow would be getting 3, green would get 2, red would get 1. Here, turn order is yellow, blue, red, green, but could change based on the dice people draft. So everyone's going to get 2 dice. 1, 2, 3, 4. The 4th player will take 2 dice, 3, 2, 1, until everyone has all the dice they want and there's only 1 die left there that no one has chosen. Then, in player turn order, each player is going to utilize their dice. And you have 2 dice, so you have 2 actions. You might get a bonus die, and that's what this red die in the middle is for. It's just a die you take to show you have a bonus die for your turn. You can get 1 bonus die. No matter how many different ways you get bonus die, you're only able to keep 1 of them. One way is you can pay 4 supply cubes and turn the die no one took into a bonus die for you, but there are other ways. And you can use these dice for all sorts of things. The number on them matter, although you can get these chips which will add or subtract 1, or these chips which will add 2 to your die. And your die can even go over 6 if you wanted to. So what can you do with your dice? You can buy more of these chips. A 1 or a 2 will buy a plus or minus 1. A 2 will buy a plus 2. You can also buy these Pulsar machinery pieces, things, whatever they are. Here, each of these is going to cost a 1, 2, or 3 to buy them. If you own a Pulsar with a ring, you can put one of these machinery things in it for free, but then you'll have to pay a number here, so this one's a 3, to flip it over, and now this is going to score me 1 point at the end of every round. So you can buy the Pulsars. You can also fly your spaceship around. That's what a lot of people do. Each person has 1 spaceship on the board, 2 if you're playing a 2-player game, and you just fly the number of spaces. So maybe my die has a 3, so I'd go 1, 2, 3. Whenever you fly through one of these, you'll turn this over, and drop one of your discs off on the planet. Having discs all over the board will score you points at the end. If you land exactly on one, you can drop your disc off on an inhabitant world there, if there is one, which gives you the bonus. This gives me a supply cube and a +2 chip. This one here would give me one of those 3 pulsars and a plus or minus 1. This one here gives me one of those 1 pulsars, a plus and minus 1. This gives me a bonus red 1 die. So there's going to be different bonuses, but just dropping off, you might want to fly fast and just drop off your discs all over the board anyway. If you land on one of these pulsars, you can put one of your rings. Each player has 6 of those to claim control of that pulsar. Another thing you can do is you can put discs on the technology tree here. You can only go as high as the round is. Each technology is going to have different dice that are needed. So for example, this one here gives me 2 points every time I put a disc on technology. So that one requires a 3. This one here is a one-time use thing. I put a disc here on a 5. And by the way, these 2 can only have 2 people go to them. This, only 1 person per turn can go there, but then it's unlocked and someone else can go there in a future turn. So this would let me grab one of the pulsars on the board that's not attached to anything and claim that one. And so each of these is going to be different. There's all sorts of technologies. Some give you bonus dice, some give you cubes, some give you end game scoring. Those are the ones that you'll see near the end of the game. So technologies. If you're playing with player personal boards, which I highly recommend doing, you have other options you can do also. You can simply put stuff on your own board. You have to start in the bottom row, and to go here I would need to have a disc on both of these. But this one here, for example, gives me a cube, a supply cube, and a plus or minus. This gives me any 2 of those discs of my choice. This gives me a random tile from this pile back here, which could be anything. This one gives me an extra disc on the board, and sometimes these tiles will give me just straight up points and things like that. Bonus dice, when I move my ship, I can use one of these to give me extra points for every spot of orange, every station of orange that I go. And these boards are different for each player. In fact, there's 2 sides, so you can play with either side. So that also gives you other options you can do. Now, players are doing all of this to get points. There's a lot of ways to get points. Points can come from these tiles here. Points can come from building a research station. Players, there's always going to be 3 of these available each turn. Players can claim one of these with a die. So if I have a 2 die, I can claim this, and I put it on here. And later on, I can build the rest of it by paying a 6 die and a 1 die. That will give me 8 points right away, and then I flip it over, and for the rest of the game, between every turn, I get a cube and 2 points. If I flip over 2 of them, I put the dice together, and now I have a red 2 bonus die. Or if I did this, I'd have a red 4 bonus die. So you can get all kinds of benefits from building these. Points right away, or points every turn. Or sometimes a way to change cubes into points. These, I already mentioned, are going to give you a certain amount of points every turn once you build them completely. The first person to own 2 of them, whether they're built or not, is going to get a bonus of 7 or 4. At the end of the game, after players are done flying around and dropping discs off, the number of discs you have on the board can be worth a whole ton of points. 10 discs is worth 30 points. Initiative is worth points, cubes, and things that you didn't use. You're also going to be playing with 3 people here who are going to give you bonus points. So for example, at the end of the game, if I have 3 pulsars built on the board, period, she's going to give 6 points. I can then immediately pay 3 cubes to get 6 more and 2 cubes to get 6 more. So if you have a lot of cubes, you'll be able to really take advantage of these. And there's different ones that can be put out, and they have different sides too. And again, there's technologies that are going to give you points if you finish them by the end of the game. So it's very viable to have a strategy where you're getting points during the game, lots of single 10 points here, 7 points here, or waiting to the end of the game and getting a whole pile of points from having explored the region. Whoever has the most points at the end of the game is the winner. Okay, so first we have the dice of this game. I really like the shiny dice. They look really good. They're not exactly painted on. They're slightly indented on the dice, so hopefully they'll last for a while. So far, mine seem to be doing fine. The discs themselves are great. I love these discs. They're like little candies. They look really good on the board. They did pick green and red, so you have to think about that colorblind-wise. But other than that, I think they look really fantastic. The only part of these where it's a problem is up here where you have to stack them, and they really, I mean, just a little bit, to me, they're constantly falling off each other. They just don't stack as well on this spot, and they will be stacked quite a bit. There are also the white supply cubes, which look really good. And then there's these tokens they have for 4 supply cubes, so that's another way. These tokens look very nice. The space tokens, when you flip them over, the symbology in this game is really not that difficult. At first you're like, oh, what does everything mean? No, it's pretty simple. The only thing that you're going to have to worry about symbology-wise are the text. All right. And again, I should mention, I really like how the board is round and how all these texts, and everything fits nice and neatly around the board. But, once you play the game for a while, you'll know, like I can tell you what all these do without even having, have I played this? Well, I have played this particular one. But even if I hadn't, I'd probably be able to figure it out. And maybe this one, like, what does that mean? Well, that means you can warp your ship to any spot on the board. You can look it up because the game comes not with a rule book, but also something that tells you what all the different texts do. So component-wise, the whole thing has a really good presence on the board. It does take up a good chunk of the board, but it looks good and has a really good space flavor to it. Wow! Do I like this game, folks? I really, really like this game. And I'll tell you why I like this game. Well, of course I'll tell you why. It's a review. But the thing is, this game offers so many choices. Now, at first I was kind of like, there's 8 rounds. I get 2 dice per round, so I have 16 choices the whole game, which isn't quite true because you also choose which dice you draft, right? But I'm going to use 16 dice over the course of the game. Maybe between 16 and 24, depending on bonus dice. You better get some bonus dice as the game goes by. So you're not making a whole ton of choices, but the choices you're making, there are so many of them. Like I said, you definitely want to play with these custom player boards. They recommend that you cut those out. The game is so much more fun with them. And I'm sitting here like, I can do this, or I can go to the tech tree, or I can fly my ship around, or I can build some pulsars, or I can get some chips that will help me out in the future, or I can build the space stations. There's so many options. And if someone goes and does something that you were going to do, you're like, all right, I'll do this. Now, because of that, player interaction is not super high. It's there. All right, you're definitely watching how the other players move, especially on initiative track and getting the cubes per turn track. You're keeping an eye on that. You're seeing what people are doing. But the game, at least in all the games I've played so far, seems to be really well balanced between getting a pile of points now or waiting to the end of the game to get points. And there's just so many ways to get points. Now, in some ways, the game feels like it was designed by Stefan Feld because it does have that whole point salad feeling. Something I make fun of in the past and will probably make fun of in the future. I can't deny that's really what this game is. Go here, get points. Do this, get points. Go here, get points. Well, I like it. And I think one of the reasons I like it is because it's not negative, right? There is some spots on this board that if you get your piece all the way to the end of each track, you will get 1 or 2 negative points each round. That's legitimate. I can see why that's there, and I know why it's there because I would run one all the way across and I'd be like, I'm not going to get cubes. I'm going to worry about turn order. And I'd be like, oh, well, I guess I better just start moving the turn order back. And this whole thing is really a brilliant piece of design because not only does it teach people what the median is, a fact you should know, but also, the 6s are definitely better than 1s. Yeah, there's places you can put 1s and not 6s, but 6s are definitely better for the most part, especially when flying your spaceship around. But if you take a lot of the good dice, you're going to hurt here, and here is important. Going first, drafting, getting those extra cubes every turn, which can be turned into bonus dice or be used at the end of the game to charge for a lot of points. That's some pretty critical stuff. This whole drafting dice thing works really well. The game is around 2 hours long, and while you're taking these dice, as you're getting these things, you just always have good choices. I'm sitting there building up my own thing, and I'm watching the other players. So, like I said, not a lot of interaction, but you're still keeping an eye on everyone else. I really care. Are you going to grab that? Are you going to be also going for planets too? Okay, maybe I won't do the planet thing hardly at all, and instead work on getting this little space station bonus thing going. Or maybe pulsars all over the place. Because that's nothing to scoff at. You build 3 pulsars that give you 3 points per turn. That's 9 points every turn. You get that done by turn 5 so that there's 3 turns left. That's 27 points you just got from those pulsars going off. So there's a lot of cool options, and the replayability is huge. I mean, you have the different technologies, which can be flipped over in all different ways. You use player boards, and you don't know which player board exactly you're going to get. Then you pick which side. One side is better for flying. The other side is better for building. And oh man, and then the end guys, the guys who give you points for the end game scoring, they might be different based on how they're out there. The seating of the board initially, I could not play this with somebody who has strong analysis paralysis, because there is a lot of options. Now, for me, not too hard. If I'm flying, I'm going to take dice and fly around the board. Use just my 5s and 6s to fly. Try to change them to higher than that. Maybe get technology that helps me, quickly analyze the situation and pick it. But if you are not going to quickly analyze, this may not be the game for you, because there is so many things you can do. And because of that, even though I think they're all fantastic choices, I could see someone freezing up and being like, I don't know what to do with this die. So that could be a problem. But other than that, wow, this is one of the best Euro games I've played in a long time. This is a game that I remember I was just at a convention, and I went to that convention and I saw people playing this, and I was like, can I play? Can I play? Can I play? That's how excited I was. I love to play new games all the time, but when I see a cool new game and I see Pulsar and I'm like, I want to play Pulsar, I know that it's got something different and spectacular. A fantastic game. Give it my highest recommendation. Certainly check out Pulsar 2849. Dice Tower Judgment, excellent!
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.